Hello and welcome. My name is Frybread002 and this video is actually just my first initial impressions on the new experimental mode introduced in the recent Mardi Gras patch. Now, I've been vaguely following along the community in various forums and discussions about the implementation of adding a third DPS slot and taking away from one tank slot, so we would effectively have a 1-2-3 variation. Now, I've been pretty apathetic and uncaring as to what direction the game takes, just because I've been playing this game for so long that any type of change is always going to be welcomed by me, and any type of change is always fun to break up the monotony of, well, the monotony of playing the same game over a period of time. Everything you're gonna see in this one clip is all one take, no fancy edits or anything like that way. And my discovery upon the experimental game mode option was actually quite surprising. I was on one of the Facebook groups for the Overwatch community, and I was reading some quick posts and discussions and comments about everyone's reaction to it. And so far it's been a pretty mixed reception by the community on one of the Facebook groups I'm with. It sounds like the DPS players are having a ball, whereas the tanks and support players are kind of struggling to play this game. And the way I phrase that's a little interesting when I'm thinking about it, just because there are a lot of different ways people have been wording exactly why they're not satisfied, and I'm talking about tanks and support here. And the same thing can be applied to the DPS players, or supposed DPS players, who are enjoying this game mode. Not to mention that I don't have an accurate sample size to tell you who is actually saying what, how big this group is, and how they identify. So all of this is just anecdotal evidence and observation. But ultimately, the most conclusive thing I can say at the moment is that it has mixed reception, and it's going to be really interesting going forward to see how this experimental mode will be handled going forward. So, as for actual gameplay, during this whole queue time, I'm actually just sitting here in my chair and trying to figure out what my game plan is going to be and how I'm going to actually play my main Genji. Because one of the things I actually want to do with these couple of gameplays that I'm going to be recording is I want to send it to the Overwatch team and give them a sample to just study and research on, so that they have something to work with going forward. I remember during the implementation of Roll Q and Roll Lock in 222, they actually opened up a official subreddit, or a thread on one of the subreddits, to receive player input. And if I remember correctly, it was a more or less positive experience with everyone involved. So the next time that they do that, I'm just gonna submit this video. So as the game progresses, one of the things I wanna definitely talk about is that if you're a DPS player, and for tanks and support players who are interested in the DPS mentality and, I guess I should say, psychology, then I definitely would advise you guys to keep an open mind and start reading up and rereading on various guides and how do I phrase this? This new mode is definitely a game changer. It affected how I was playing, and it actually affected who I was playing with. In a lot of these game modes, I will always play Genji, and I will always play Genji even if the mode isn't the best one for him. But this was one of the few modes where I just could not effectively play Genji, just because of my tactics of hit and run guerrilla warfare did not apply so much. One of my hypotheses for this game mode before I even started playing was that I am probably going to be switching over to Soldier 76 in all likelihood, so that I can provide extra healing with his kit. And the most common role I was going to take up was probably going to be in a supportive role. I was going to hang back in our back row to defend our healers and keep an eye out on our tanks. And this is the mindset I'm having before I select my character, because when I'm about to select Genji, it's already taken from me. So I relent, and ultimately I will be picking Soldier 76 when the match starts. And just before the game really does start, I'm just kind of getting myself in the zone, mentally preparing myself to see what's going to happen. And I'm keeping an open mind to see how players are going to interact with each other and how they're going to be playing the game, both on my team and on the enemy team. Some of the things I am expecting would be the broad generalizations and stereotypes of the roles. So I'm expecting my other two DPS players to be flanking a lot and most likely overextended. I'm going to be expecting my tank, who is a Roadhog, to be going just aggressive DPS tank. He's probably not even going to be doing a whole lot of tanking for us. And so with effectively 3 DPS players, how I feel like, not counting myself, it would be more beneficial to the team if I just stand back and protect the Ana and try to see what's going to happen. Now, the Reaper being on the top left is just a nice standard flanking technique. Trying to get an early pick, get the ultimate charge in, and try to kill a weakness, or weak, badly positioned ally. And I'm just not sure what the enemy team is actually doing right here outside of being dumbasses. I am for sure taken off guard of that healing orb on the ground. And I'm just going to be moving in slowly with the support players, especially the Ana. I want to keep the Ana safe because she doesn't have that great escape options. So what I'm doing right there is I'm checking my corners, taking a survey of the land, and I'm checking my teammate's blind spot. So if my teammate was looking to the right, I'm looking to the left, so that we can cover and secure as much ground as possible. And I am ecstatic to see that our Moira was going in for a flank. And I would call that a pretty good flank from the enemy Reaper, especially when he got cut off from the rest of his team. It was better for him just to come in, commit, stall for a couple of seconds, and stall for as long as he could. So I'm still staying by the Ana. I already got surprised twice by the Widowmaker on the left side and Reaper coming in out of nowhere. So I'm covering the rear. And that's all I'm going to be doing for this part of the game, is covering Ana. And so it's at this point in the game I really want to emphasize that I'm a bit scared, and I'm definitely in a array of confusion, because the enemy is attacking us at so many different angles that I actually really am having a hard time doing anything. Now, I think this is just going to be an inherent flaw or weakness when having one tank. And I don't think it's going to matter what tank we pick. The amount of firepower coming down range is so great that having to advance any further past that initial choke point is going to be dangerous. So, from the DPS perspective, I'm definitely using more cover, playing around corners, and I'm definitely just being more cautious. And this is where I try to punish the Reaper, but he gets away unfortunately because of the passiveness of my Roadhog. And I'm frustrated with him right now actually, because we could have killed that Roadhog. I mean, we could have killed that Reaper. My bad. Now, personally, I don't like being in this spot because of how easy it is for the Reaper to come in from behind us. His Shadow Step ability makes him a dangerous adversary.
No rest for the weary. My ultimate is almost ready. Understood.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. I don't think it mattered what tank and what abilities that tank would have had. Him walking straight up towards the enemy like that was just a tactical mistake. And this is where I get frustrated with Armora for letting our Genji die. I personally feel like he was capable of being saved. And all I'm doing right now is putting suppressive fire downrange, keeping them distracted. It would be nice for me to get a kill, but at this point in time, I just want to keep that Widowmaker contested.
No rest for the weary.
So, at this point, I think the enemy is just getting pretty confident with themselves, doing some Bazu plays and extending out that far. For the most part, they know we can't punish them, so it's pretty okay for them to come out that far. It's hard for us to hit them, really. And this is where I rush in as fast as I can to support our Genji. It doesn't matter if it's unplanned or not. So now this is just a general rule when it comes to any type of first-person shooter game or team-based game, is that when you have a ally coming in and committing to an attack, what you always need is follow through. So even though our Genji died to a 1v1 Reaper, I was there to follow through, and I got more value out of my ultimate because the enemy probably used their cooldowns and their abilities to get away from the Dragon Blade and let themselves open to my tactical visor. So at this point in the game, you're gonna hear an ally of ours get vulgar, and you're gonna hear me just respond with another vulgar retort. So that's all that was really. And I'm sticking up with Yana just because right now this is an experimental game mode, and any results are gonna be very, very subjective. And that's just the end of my very first game on experimental mode. Everything was one take, as I said, and I just wanted to capture my reaction to my own gameplay video as raw and as first time as I possibly could. So, at the end of the video, and taking the time to actually reflect and study the videotape going into the replay mode, my objective